Hello everybody, it's Precious Pioneer and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today I'm going to tell you how you can make high quality videos with just using your iPhone. Granted, I have one of the older versions of the iPhone. I have an iPhone 8. I think I'm like 2 or 3 years behind at this point, but fun fact, when I first started my YouTube channel, I only used my iPhone. I only recently got a camera up until a couple of months ago. I think I got it back in December. And so all 80 plus of my videos have been created with only my iPhone. And so I'm going to give you some really great tips on how to utilize just your phone, especially if you're getting started on YouTube or you just want to create really great videos. I know that buying a camera or high-tech gear can be really expensive, and so I hope that this video can help you. Okay, tip number one, change the settings in your phone. A lot of people don't know this, but if you go to your settings and you scroll all the way down to camera, if you go to settings and you scroll all the way down to camera, you'll see different settings like formats, record video. Go ahead and click on record video, and then it'll give you an option. Most of the time your videos are set up for like 720p like frames per second or 30 frames per second, but you can go ahead and change it all the way to 4K if you want, and that's the same high quality footage that you'll get from a typical camera. The only warning and caveat that I will tell you about is that shooting in 4K does take up a lot of storage, and so if you want to create videos, I recommend like clearing out your folders, or if you have a subscription on the cloud, that's really great. I don't. I like to save money and really organize my files and make sure that they're deleted or moved to my computer if they take up a lot of space. So I do warn you that if you do shoot like long form videos, if you're looking for slow-mo videos and things like that, the 4K will definitely eat up a lot of your data. But if you're making quick videos or something like that, or if you plan ahead to make your videos on your phone, then this will work perfectly. It'll shoot really, really well. But going into tip number 2 is to clean your lens. It may sound really silly, but I can't, well, now that I say it and recorded this video, I'm like, oh shoot, that's probably a good idea. When you take off your case and you clean your phone goes with you everywhere, and so it may seem like an oversight. Make sure that you're using your camera quality to its fullest potential. I feel like sometimes people forget that, you know, it goes in your purse, it goes in your bag, it goes when you're traveling, you go to the beach, it gets a little sand particles. Literally just clean it off. And then sometimes when you touch the lens or small things like that, oils and grease, and when you're on the phone, all these different things like build up on your lens and all your phone. So make sure that you're utilizing whatever power that your phone has, and definitely just clean your lens. Make sure that everything is good to go for video recording. Tip number 3 is lighting is so crucial to a video. It's lighting, making sure people can see you. It's audio. I'll talk about that in a minute, but make sure that your lighting is used for its fullest potential. I know that my phone, it's a little bit older, so it's really sensitive to certain exposure and things like that, so I always shot directly in front of a window. But sometimes with that, because the exposure is so sensitive, you kind of want to shoot in a way where you get direct light, kind of how I'm set up here, where there's a window right here, but it only covers like the side of my face, so it gives it a nice like even coating. Shooting in that golden hour is a great idea for photos, I think, but with video, you're just so bright and glary that you don't have a lot of high-tech camera gear to edit your videos, to change the exposure levels and all these different things. So having good footage from the jump and not having to edit and mess with it after in post-production will make your life so much easier. So make sure that you are shooting at the perfect time of day. I would say right before golden hour, like in the afternoon, sometime where you're getting a lot of good sunlight. You can diffuse the sunlight with some curtains or having it bounce off a wall or something like this. I do have a lamp right here. I could just click on it and it gives it a nice glow if you're shooting in the dark or in the afternoons. That's something to keep in mind, but lighting is so key. You can even buy like one of these ring light things. I think that they're really beneficial. However, for me, someone with glasses, it tends to leave this circle in my glasses, and I don't really like that because my eyes will be like right here, and then you'll see this giant ring. So it's not my favorite unless I'm bouncing it off the wall and diffusing it that way, like I mentioned before. But keep that in mind when you're shooting with your camera. Figure out the strength of its exposure, because sometimes it's so harsh and you look so like glary. Like I have fairly dark medium toned skin, so when I'm like washed out, it looks really pale and weird. But at the same time, like when it's really dark, it's like really shadowy and moody, which, you know, isn't like the culture of my videos, so keep that in mind as well. Going into tip number 4, so when you're monitoring your exposure, you're probably like, what does that even mean? It's basically like the measurement of like how light is seen in your videos or in your camera, like what it's picking up. Sometimes when there's so much light and you're like overexposed, that's when you can measure exposure, or sometimes when it's too dark and shadowy. You can fix that by going to your camera and clicking on the actual, this is me, hello, clicking on the actual screen. It'll create this little square and it will lock on your face if you double click it. So sometimes when you double click it, you'll get the little sunshine, I can't think of the word, oh, the sun, I guess, icon, and you could actually go to the side and move it up and down to adjust your exposure. So if you're like, whoa, it's too bright and I look gross or whatever, you can adjust the settings to lighter or darker before you even record. That way it's like perfect. Working with natural lighting, you have to kind of have a plan, because sometimes the clouds will block the sun and half your video will be dark and half your video will be light, and I think that's one of the cons, but that's something that you get out of it, that you just kind of take with it. But honestly, I think it's worth it, because I don't know, when you're first starting out on a new project, it's really nice to not spend so much money, and so I thought it was really beneficial to shoot everything on my phone for the first year and a half on YouTube, and it was definitely worth it for me for a long time. But going into my next tip would be, if you want to spend a little bit of extra money, I do recommend getting like different lenses or something like that that can definitely help diffuse the light or give you a nice filter. You can have fun with fish lens or different ones, but something that I recommend is the ND filter, which basically like washes out those like hot, harsh lines that you get from direct light. It's like, I have a ND filter on now, but let's say I turn this lamp on and I face it like directly towards me. Do you see how like harsh that light is? But I do have an ND filter that kind of makes the light a little bit softer if I'm over here, even though the light is directly hitting me. That's not the case with an iPhone. An iPhone will just make it really like sharp. And so you can get little filter attachments on your lens that kind of cover it, that kind of give you a nice glow or a nice hue and protects you from the sun. You can also get like moodier lights that plays with halation. So if I have a light back here, instead of it being like light, it'll kind of be just like a shadowy light. I guess the best way to describe that is like when you're walking out in the street at night and you have those street lights, you know how it's kind of like glowy, it has that like nice glow around it? That's kind of what those lenses do. I will definitely leave links and all kinds of stuff and information below if you're just totally confused by these terms, but I can recommend the Moment Shop. It's where I got some of my lenses and camera gear, but it's pretty affordable for just your phone. I want to say it's around like $70, but that's only if you want to spend money and like make sure that you can amp up your iPhone as much as you can. I will also leave a video link up here of Sean, who's like the head of Think Media. He has all these different gear and hack tips if you're looking for gear specifically for glamming up your iPhone. But this is for the people who are on a budget, who just have their iPhone device and maybe some Apple headphones and want to make the best video possible with just these 2 items. I'm here for you. I understand that struggle. So going into tip number 6, I would definitely recommend getting a tripod of some sort. I know that I said like we're not spending money, but I feel like that's kind of essential if you want to travel anywhere. I usually use my tripod just to have a steady cam, because I like to do talking head videos like this and just talk to you guys directly. But honestly, you can work without it. I have definitely done the struggle where I get a whole bunch of different books like so, and I stack them up against my desk like this, and then I'll grab something random like my plant that's so readily available right here. This is Pablo the plant, and you could set it right here and then literally prop your phone up against the books and plant stand. I would recommend just using anything and everything you have around your house. Sometimes you have to get really creative if you're on a budget, but that's kind of like half the fun. So now I have a perfect setup. I could set it up higher or lower depending. I just need more books or more items to perfectly match it. But that's how I used my tripod originally, because I didn't have anything. But honestly, I would definitely recommend getting a tripod, because sometimes this can be a little unsteady, or if you want to vlog or whatever, you just need something that's like level, because shaky video is no bueno. But you can get a tripod for honestly like $10 on Amazon or somewhere online. They're really not expensive, and so I recommend definitely picking one up. But yeah, tip number 6. Okay, tip number 7, as I mentioned, audio is just as important as video, and clarity and nice lighting, because people need to see you, but then also people need to hear you really well. And so like I said, I had these Apple headphones, and that's what I used for my very first videos. Like, I think my first video ever was a avocado cookie recipe or something, and I literally just plugged in my headphones and I held up the speaker like this, and I was careful not to move it or breathe too heavy, like, because it makes a very loud sound. Also be careful of your light P's, because they'll make like in your T's, like, because they'll make little sharp peaks in your audio. What I did was make sure that the room is super quiet, like I didn't hear any shakes or stutters or whatever. Honestly, I recommend, if you have a big spacious closet, to like go in there and record, because it is like the best. Lay down blankets. If you have wood floors or anything like that, sound is so sensitive to certain elements that are in your room, and they'll create little echoes that you can't really hear directly into your phone, but when the video plays, you can definitely hear it. So any headphones with a cord works wonders. AirPods are the worst. Like, for audio, I would never recommend that, because it's very difficult for high quality audio to be in Bluetooth. So anything with the cord works amazing. And sometimes if you have a voiceover or something like that, literally just go to a quiet place and do your voiceover in that voice app that's in your phone and record it just like that. And sometimes I've gotten some of my favorite sound effects just by using the voice thing, whether that's like, you know, sounds like that. That sounds so nice. And all of this can be recorded. It's like a nice crisp, or like the sounds of the rain. And you can honestly just record everything into your voice memos. That's what I did for so many years, but that's how you get really good audio. If you're looking for something relatively affordable, I think that the Rode Micro Mini is super, super amazing. I think it's around $60, $70, I want to say. But if you want to go on the cheaper end, I did get first one of those Amazon Basics sort of microphones, and I think I paid like $20 for it. And that one was okay. It had like a fuzzy ball around it, so it protected it from the sound from the wind or anything weird as I was going outside or something. It helped offer clarity. But I don't know, when you're on a budget, I think that's such a good investment. So you get like the highest quality video possible, but then your setup only costs you maybe $50 or something for the tripod, the microphone, and I don't know, like a small light or something like that, like a lamp. Definitely what I recommend. Okay, tip number 8, I just want to honestly say that when you're creating a video, it is never ever about the gear. Eventually you'll hit a certain point where you're like, okay, there's certain limitations where you need to upgrade your gear, hence my camera. But honestly, when you're first getting started, it's all about creating. When you buy a whole bunch of different gear and equipment and all these things, sometimes that can be a roadblock to start creating, because now you have to learn all the technicalities of how to use certain things, and you feel the pressure of like trying to be the greatest, when really being creative, even with your setup and how you're using things that you already have, is part of the fun. Because when you're a beginner, you're gonna make a lot of mistakes, and you're learning about the basics of editing and sound design and lighting and exposure and all these different things that you kind of just learn with time. Like I said, I used my phone for like a year and a half until I upgraded into a camera. So if I can do it with my iPhone 8, I'm sure that you can do it with whatever phone or camera equipment that you have, because content is king. Like I know you've heard that in some regard, that quality content will always win and be beneficial. Like if you have a story to tell, people will want to hear it. Just make sure you have good lighting, good audio, and you could use your phone no problem. I hope that this video has helped you and inspired you thus far. If you like it, go ahead and give it a thumbs up, or consider subscribing to my channel. That just really helps us support me in the creation of these videos. But my last tip is that if you're looking for editing or post-production, YouTube does offer something in the YouTube Studio where you can kind of edit it a little bit, but you can also edit directly into your iPhone. I'm sure if you've taken a picture and you wanted to edit it just a little bit, you go and you click on edit on the top right, and then down below you can click different filters to adjust your warmness tone or your lightness or coolness or whatever. You can even adjust your exposure, your brightness, your highlights, contrast, all these different things. But then of course iPhone and Apple products have iMovie directly built into their system. So if you want to edit clips or your sound or certain things that you want to cut out or adjust or add like funny flares or text or things like that, there's iMovie, which is a great option. But then if you want something else, you could obviously download an app, or if you have a MacBook or an iPad, iMovie works on those applications as well, and that will just help make your editing seamless. But I really hope that this video was really helpful to you. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, live life with love and love food with life. I'll see you guys next time. Bye.